Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Welcome back. Over the last 2 weeks of our March series, we've deconstructed that initial, where do I even start, planning overwhelm, and figured out how to pick a travel pace that won't leave you burnt out by month 2. But today, I want to pull back the curtain a little on a question that you might have about the day-to-day lifestyle, the what do you do all day question. Let's explore it on today's episode. Welcome to How to Travel Full-Time, the podcast that helps you turn your dream of full-time travel into a realistic and sustainable lifestyle. I'm your host, certified professional coach, TEDx speaker, and New York Times featured travel lifestyle strategist, Heather Markel. I'm excited to get you motivated and going with tips, real-life stories, and strategies from someone who's been living the lifestyle since 2018. Let's jump in. Usually, the what do you do all day question is about the mundane stuff, the regular Tuesday stuff. Because the biggest hurdle to traveling full-time is often the fear that life will either be too chaotic to handle or, surprisingly, that you'll get bored. So let's talk about what happens when the vacation high wears off and your travel life actually begins. First, let's kill the myth. Full-time travel is not a 365-day vacation. It's really important you understand that. If you tried to live like a tourist every day, eating out every meal, hitting 3 museums before noon, do every free walking tour, take cooking classes, you would be broke and exhausted in weeks. The reality is, most days are pretty ordinary. You wake up, you find or make coffee, or in my case, tea. And usually if you're making it, you have to figure out how the local coffee machine works. You might check emails. You'll do chores like finding laundry detergent in the foreign grocery store, which you need Google Translate to interpret the ingredients, and then figure out how the laundry machine works. The difference is not that every day is a movie scene. It's that you've swapped a life of default settings for a life of intentional ones. And it's a huge switch. In your normal life where you're working, you have a job. You feel responsible to get there on time and execute it. And you come home and you're supposed to pay your bills, take care of other people, de-stress, watch TV. Whew. When you travel full-time, your schedule is much more in your hands. You create your own schedule, or lack thereof, and realize that you get to choose each day. It's actually really powerful. But some of those activities are pretty mundane. And the reality is you're still doing life. You're just doing it in a place that makes you feel more alive. Now, a word on the vacation delusion. I have found that for a lot of us, the vacation trap in full-time travel hits you around week 2, like after 2 weeks in the lifestyle. I've come to think of it as the first test of whether the lifestyle is right for you. Now, for me, this test came when I was in Costa Rica. 2 weeks in, I was in Corcovado National Park, in the middle of nowhere, with bad Wi-Fi, an unhelpful property manager, and giant cockroaches in my tent. Ew. I was trying to figure out how I could meet up with these 2 new friends that I had made who were in a very far away part of Costa Rica. And after hours of research, I came to realize I couldn't do it. I felt completely defeated, and I suddenly had the thought, what have I done? Like, oh my gosh, I've been here 2 weeks. I'm used to vacations being a week or 2 long. And hold on, I'm not packing my bag and going back home and back to work. What have I done? Woo, I felt like, what am I doing? And I realized that I was not going to be packing my bag and going to the airport tomorrow. And when I thought about what I was doing, I mean, if I couldn't figure out how to get out of this place, well, nothing. This was a very sobering moment for me. And to tell you the truth, I almost caved in and gave up on my dream. But instead, right at the lowest point of this experience, I had a complete epiphany, and I found a brand new way of thinking about my experience, and I've never looked back. So I think I needed that low moment. Like I said, it was a test to help me realize, yeah, I am on the right path. I'm doing what I want. But just know that you are definitely not signing up for a long-term vacation when you opt to travel full-time. So another thing that can come up is routine. Because when I first hit the road, I was most interested in experiencing go-with-the-flow travel. I wanted to be free. So the idea of a routine seemed boring and almost like a bad word. But in the reality of full-time travel, being completely free all the time can become exhausting. And routine is important, even for full-time travel, yeah. And wherever you hunker down, you're probably going to seek out a spot that feels like yours. Often that's a cafe where the barista knows your order. Funny story, I know I've mentioned it many times, so hopefully if you're not a new listener, you know that I love cows. And when I spent a week in La Fortuna in Costa Rica, I found a coffee shop called La Vaca Purpura, which means the purple cow. So obviously, I went there. So it turns out the barista has traveled the world as well for a while herself. And what she did is she found all these different ways to make coffee in her travels, and she brought them back and opened La Vaca Purpura. And every day I went, she would be making this new blend of coffee, or she'd be making it in a new way with a new contraption that I hadn't seen the day before. And I went to her shop every day, tried all the coffee, and we became fast friends. And I even got invited to dinner with her and her husband. So this is the kind of experience that you'll come to crave. And in addition to having that daily place where someone knows you, you'll probably find a spot in a park that you love, or a walk or a hike that you enjoy doing every day. And you'll just repeat some of these activities over and over every day. And to me, that's the magical moment when you stop being a true tourist and you start experiencing what it's like to live someplace else. So routine in the end is the anchor that makes the constant change sustainable. It's what turns a trip into a lifestyle. Let's talk about work for a moment. Because if you're worried about how work fits into the lifestyle, it could be a type of backbone. For most of us, work can provide a structure that, again, becomes routine. Maybe you work 9 to 5 on US time while you're in Portugal. Or maybe you're a freelancer who clusters all your work into 3 intense days so you can hike the other 4. Or like me, you might have your own business and do travel writing and have deadlines. And work and travel don't just coexist. They end up balancing each other out. Having a deadline to meet feels, like it might make you feel like you earned that glass of wine at sunset. And without the normal stuff like work, travel can start to feel a bit aimless, right? And some of you are planning to retire and travel, so you may not have that tether, right? And that's why some of the previous stuff that I've mentioned here is important. Finding that routine is going to be even more important for you if you're not working. But if you are working, and for some of you, you're not going to see long-term travel as a way to quit your job or leave it forever, or you may take it with you. So the goal is not to escape work. It's to change the view from your office window. And you may even ultimately change your work itself so that it aligns with your travel lifestyle. So, boredom is a possible side effect of full-time travel. Okay, let's say you went to Paris for a week and you enjoyed fancy meals, you visited the Eiffel Tower, you went to the Louvre, you saw the catacombs, you went to the Moulin Rouge, you did Paris. Now, imagine spending a year there. There's no way that you're going to do Paris every day. Some days you're probably going to be like, I ran out of things to do. So I know that when I started to travel full-time, I was much more obsessed with seeing and doing as much as possible. And I mentioned before that all my constant movement led me to be exhausted. You just can't sustain that. And if you're staying in the same place for an extended period of time and you're just living, you may find some days boring. Look, sometimes it rains and you just don't want to go out, or there's bad weather and you can't go out. And you're probably going to have a designated laundry day. In fact, I know I'm not the only full-time traveler that intentionally chooses days to be no plan days. Like, they might be laundry days, might be a designated get the stuff done that I gotta get done. They might just be a chill day. Maybe I'm writing those days just to relax. And this is the moment when you know that you've truly made the shift into full-time travel. You aren't rushing anymore. You have the luxury of time. Now, the reason most people struggle with this daily life phase is they didn't build a foundation that supports it. They focused on the flights, but not how the day-to-day will look. They planned the trip, but not the life. And if you're listening to this and you're nodding along and you're thinking, I have no idea how I'd actually structure my specific job or my specific budget to make all this feel normal, I want to help you get clear on that. If you're still in the questioning, is this even possible for me stage, go take the full-time travel readiness quiz. The link is in the show notes. It'll tell you exactly where your gaps are so that you can stop guessing. But if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and you want a concrete step-by-step roadmap tailored to your specific situation, let's hop on a one-to-one strategy session. We can look at your obstacles, your timeline, and your regular Tuesday goals to make sure that your launch is actually sustainable. You can book that directly through the link in the show notes. Full-time travel doesn't fix your life. It just gives you better ingredients to build a new one. Now, next week, we're going to go deep into the stuff people don't post about on Instagram. the loneliness, the bad days, and why, despite all of them, we wouldn't trade this lifestyle for anything. I'll see you then. Thanks for listening. If you're ready to start living the full-time travel lifestyle, or you're already doing it and you want to make it last longer, I'd like to invite you to the Full-Time Travel Academy. It's where I offer training and coaching that helps you get clear on how to start, how to afford, and how to sustain a full-time travel lifestyle. Learn more at www.fulltimetravelacademy.com. Have a beautiful week.